There's never been a church, there's
St.
never
Mary
been a
Major.
day in all, since the 5th century without a mass being said in it. That's incredibly
Wow.
impressive. It's called Mary Major because it's the first church named after Mary in the Western civilization. It's named in honor of the Council of Ephesus that named Mary Theotokos, which means the God-bearer. And the story about the reason why it's located right here is because of a pope by the name of Liberius. Liberius, now in August and July, Rome gets so hot that even the pope are mosaics. The mosaics are original to the original structure, and they retell the story of the Old Testament. Right? So very old mosaics, and they're very fine mosaics. In 1492, what was the big event that happened in 1492? Christopher Columbus sailed. Okay, Christopher Columbus, he came back, after he came back, Bernini was himself. His dad, Bernini's father, Elder Bernini, image of the Assumption of Mary was done by him. According to urban legend, the new Bernini's son was 8 years old when his dad was. Carved one of the heads of the angel on the top part.
Oh boy.
Inside the glass. Just say Hail Mary here, Hail Mary,
Blessed and true Lord Jesus. And Mary, and the God, pray for us.
Well, according to very ancient tradition, there's also the belief that because Luke is the one who described the birth of Jesus the most, that he actually would have interviewed the Virgin Mary to know what was going on in the birth of Jesus, because who else would have known? In fact, at one point in Luke's Gospel, it says that Mary held all these things in her heart so as to remember them to tell Luke. Well, the
non guardare questi peccati, ma ravvedi della tua Chiesa, e dona l'unità e pace secondo la tua volontà, tu che vivrei nei secoli dei secoli. La pace del Signore sia sempre con voi, ci scambiamo i secoli di amore e di pace.
Just some quick video of the 4 fountains. It's a little corner. I guess you can only see like 2.5 of them, but there's a fountain at each corner here.
Yeah, wave. All right.
Saint Suzanne.
This is a church of Santa Maria. Where Christ lived. And one of the big aspects about the Franciscans and that custody of the Holy Land is that often Franciscan monasteries, churches, convents will take ground from the Holy Land and bring it to their church and then bury their friars in the Holy Land ground because of their connection with the Holy Land. That's what's happened here. And so in the basement, the crypt of this church, back in the 1600s, they brought a lot of the dirt from the Holy Land. They started burying their friars there. Well, eventually they ran out of space. And so one of the friars, for one reason or another, because he was weird, started taking out the bones and then started making designs all over the walls and all over the ceilings of the bones of the other friars. Eventually it became such a popular thing for them to do that all the wealthy and all the people that some nobility in the city of Rome wanted to be buried here, so eventually they could also be in the design.
Fendi.
all the really famous ones are there.
Yeah.
Product, yep. And what people do is they'll have their products in the window with the prices, and it'll just blow your mind. You know that nice scarf you bought yesterday for 10 euros?
Yeah.
It'll probably be about $3,000.
Yeah.
And
Shot at night with all the lights.
With the Christmas lights on.
at the bottom, you can't see it right now because of this huge tree, which is not here every Christmas. But there's a fountain at the very bottom of the Spanish Steps called it's called the Useless Boat. That's the memory, another one of the flooding of the Tidal River. All the way to that. There's another one, another sense of the flooding.
Yeah.
And just
To back up to get it all. Here's another nativity. That looks more like a small town.
Oh, you're right. There's no perspective. Not really thinking.
What do you mean?
Look, the person in the balcony is way small.
Oh yeah. There's Susan. She's gonna take our picture. Ready? Smile. No, wait. Yeah, I know. Just me? Yeah, go down there and I'll take another one. I want to zoom in down the street. Okay, smile. Here's the street. Whoa, I didn't mean to zoom in that far, but there's all those Christmas lights from last night. So, okay.
Who's the saint?
Robert Bellarmine.
So, Robert Bellarmine. Okay, and we're in this really cool church.
Matthew's going like this.
Here's the ceiling of that church we're in with the Caravaggio's.
With someone's
And if you
balloon.
look close, there's a balloon. I'm going to see what it says. I don't know if I can get to it or not.
It's almost that looks like a picture of like a pregnant Mary up there.
Oh, maybe it is.
I don't
That's going to make everybody dizzy. I got to stop doing this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to poke this out the window.
Here,
and
go.
then I'm going to... Well, you can hear it. Yeah, I don't know where he's at, but there's a guy over here. Oh, you can see it. There it goes. And then it goes down in the street, and listen to it. It is ridiculously loud.
Try and show him up there.
But I don't see it. I don't see a person. Do you? Can you see him? Oh, I see him. Oh, there he is. Oh.
He was doing like steadily.
Yeah, no, he's doing really fast, but in the video it's too dark.
The car's going by.
And he's chucking them down into the street. I mean, it's cannon fire is what it sounds like.
Look at that guy, he's just all cut in.
Questo giorno veniva anche ricordato, poi lo si celebrava liturgicamente il 2 di gennaio in nome di Gesù. E a queste tre, diciamo, vocazioni, tre motivi, che è breve, diciamo, la citazione ed è molto ovvia. Paolo, parlando della Madre di Dio, scrive ai Galati e dice: Dio mandò il suo figlio nato da donna e nato sotto la legge. E in questa riga però
There's a sign sign. It's in Italian, but it basically says this is the prime meridian, which runs right through the floor, right through the middle of the church. And so they kind of put a little line through it on the floor. It's cool. It's the Tropic of Cancer, or what is that one called? Or Capricorn, whichever one's in the south. This is St. Augustine's Church. Patron saint of mothers is buried here. I think they're having mass. Is that mass? Somebody's singing. I have no idea where the music's coming from. There must be a choir somewhere around.
Sulla Lena che tutti conoscevano per essere ritratto in quella posizione, però a volte si fermava, questo è tipico dei grandi pittori, che hanno un'osservazione acuta, diversa, e che magari riescono a fermare quell'immagine e poi a ritrarla nei loro quadri. Ma Caravaggio usava i suoi modelli, i suoi fanciulli, li portava allo studio e li faceva da fotografo, da modelli per le sue tele, li usavano per la sua. Stessa cosa successe con la sposa Maddalena, la morte della Vergine, scusate, che fu anche questa una tela che fece scalpore, forse ve l'ho raccontato, e fu rifiutata, committente acquistata da Rubens.
The tomb of St. Monica, St. Augustine's mother. She's the patron saint of women who try and give birth.
E io vi voglio lasciare due espressioni, due frasi di Sant'Agostino, così voi le portate con voi nel vostro viaggio e potete dire almeno questo è un ricordo che ci è stato dato di questo tempo.
Sure, do it.
Oh, all right. We're not getting very many pictures of you today. Here.
So this is the bridge we've crossed probably 30 times.
When you look back in 20 years, just say, "Yep, there I was."
Basilica. Okay. Let me back up, and there's the castle of St. Angelo. Okay, so that's St. Catherine. And if you look closely, so the basilica is probably about a half mile in the back. I think you can see it pretty well, but it's dark, so I'm not sure. Oh yeah, you can see it. Okay.
It was also one of his earliest works. He was only 22 years old when he finished it. It was actually originally commissioned to be a tombstone, in essence, or a monument, a funerary monument for a French cardinal. When Michelangelo finished it, because he was so young, nobody knew who he was, and so he didn't get any credit for it. He heard people making claims when they were observing it and admiring it that some other artist would have done it. And he got so upset that he paid off the guards at the Vatican to let him come in at night and sign it. So across the sash, across her breast, it's the only signature that he ever did on any of his works. It says Michelangelo and his full name, Florentine, so that people would know that it was actually his. So it's the only work he ever signed. He was criticized for it afterwards for making it disproportionate. Mary's 8 feet tall and Jesus is 6 feet tall. And he actually defended himself by saying, listen, I did this on purpose to show the all-embracing love of the Virgin.
Picture of St. Jerome's last communion, and Pope John the 23rd is right there, right inside that little tomb. Oh, they turned the light on.
Weird. And that was Pope Pius IX. He went 31 years total, longest serving Pope ever, longest reigning Pope ever. And it was thought that that was impossible. But only Peter could go up to 25 years. So in the honor of the very day that it happened, which was June something or other, 1871, Pope Pius IX had his own image put up there, as well as a notation saying that he is now the longest reigning Pope of all history.
Seriously?
Guys are funny. St. Peter.
Anything to do with the 25-year doors? Like,
No,
why'd they choose that time frame?
No connection whatsoever.
Okay.
The statue is actually very old. The head, supposedly, according to some, the head is actually from an ancient goddess or god from the Roman pagan god. But then they, according to some tradition, that they put a different body on him. We really don't know the origins of the statue. It's extremely old. But in honor of Pope Pius IX, surpassing Pope Peter in length, Pope Pius IX made an indulgence for anybody, a one-day indulgence of anybody that would come and reverence the statue in some way. And that's why the feet are actually worn down. We'll go up there, we'll kiss it, or we'll touch it, and then make the sign of the cross, and that's a one-day indulgence. And that's
His feet are totally worn down. Look at that one on the right. It's just like not even there.
If you were to take a plumb line from God the Father, the center of the dome, it would strike right through the heart of the Holy Spirit underneath the baldacchino. You see the baldacchino on the ceiling of the baldacchino? And then that same line would go to the center of the altar. And if it continued, it would go right to the bones of Peter, where the scavitur will end. So it shows in the structure of itself, in honor of the Trinity, God the Father, God the Holy Spirit, God the Son on the altar, and then St. Peter and his connection to the papacy. The altar itself is actually 3 altars. The first altar is from 604, Pope Gregory the Great, which was then had another altar built around it and over it by the Pope by the name of Calixtus III in 1123, followed by the current one that we have right now. The altar is reserved again only for the Pope.
So they're all inside the same altar?
Yeah.
They just kept fully on top.
Yeah. The baldacchino, which is the largest bronze, well, at the time it was built, is the largest freestanding bronze structure in the world. It's 9 stories tall. And it's actually meant to represent the Ark of the Covenant, the tent of the Ark of the Old Testament. The tent that held the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy of Holies. That's why it's made. The pillars are made to look like they're swaying in the wind. See how they're swaying in the wind? It's to represent the Ark of the Covenant. Now, if you look like right up above the wool scarf-like images, scarf-like cloths that look like a scarf that archbishops get every June 29th. And the night before they get their palliums, the Pope has them laid in there the closest they can get to St. Peter's stones, and that's what that little box is. But the confessio, basically, right down below the altar is the bones of Peter. Yeah, that's just what was up primarily for yesterday, the Feast of Mary, Mother of God. Then there's the little baby trying to get a bumblebee. Because that's Urban VIII. There's bumblebees all over there. Another bumblebee is because you see that Saint Helena. You see up on her right shoulder on the left side. It's like a little bug coming out. That's a bumblebee to show Urban VIII again. You see the bumblebee I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Right below her neckline, on her right shoulder. So our left side is a little bug.
Oh.
It's a bumblebee.
That's
underneath which is a comment about the tour poacher. It happens all the time.
No, I don't like it. I'm going to say something.
It's okay. Do
It's
not say anything.
No, I will.
Why?
Because it's bugging me. Because this is an intimate party. And
Guys are ordained. All guys that get ordained deacon over here in Rome get ordained at this place. The whole scene around the window and the chair is another Bernini. And I think I mentioned this, that's alabaster stone. The wingspan of the dove is 2 feet, so about, not 2 feet, 2 meters, about 6 feet. The chair is 18 feet tall. And you can see these 4 guys. There's 4 bishops, the 4 main doctors of the church from the east and the west. And they appear that they're holding up the chair. but it's not lit well and we're not close enough to be able to see, but they're in fact not holding up the chair. And the reason why it appears that they're holding up the chair is to show that, well, the authority of the papacy is based soundly on theology. But the fact of the matter is it's not being held by the theologians because it doesn't need any dependence on theologians to have its authority. And of course the chair is a representation of the authority of the Pope. And inside of that big, huge bronze Bernini chair is a very old chair, said to be a chair that Peter himself sat on. Now, all along the nave of the church, as well as the dome, we see all this lettering that's going all the way around, and all that lettering is basically scriptural passages affirming the authority of the papacy and Peter. And it's all in Latin, except for up here on the right-hand side. What is it up on the right-hand side?
Greek.
Greek, exactly. It's the only place where it's Greek. And that's to represent the supreme authority, the universal authority of the Pope, East and West, which of course is denied by the Greek Orthodox. But it's also an illustration of ecumenical, dialogue, that the Pope wants to be back in union with the East and the West. So the Greek Orthodox, the Russian Orthodox, their theology is in essence the same as ours. And so there's been a very long period of time where we've tried to get back in unification. 1054 is when we actually split. So we got the Latin and the Greek. Angel of Death is see the rib cage there, the wings underneath it. He's holding the hourglass, and that death is imminent, and that is the face of the Angel of Death is covered to show that you never know when it's coming. And so they really portrayed his own fixation on his own death, his own mortality inside on his funerary monument.
Is that his crest?
His crest is, yep, right over there. Actually, I'll say something a little interesting about his crest because it's easier to see here. Normally I say it outside at St. Peter's in the square. Is that, every pope has their own coat of arms, but originally the coat of arms of Alexander VII was strictly the mountain. You see, it's supposed to be a mountain on the bottom left and the top right. That was his original coat of arms. It represents a mountain, but when he was elected pope, he had some people do some research, kind of see his family tree, his genealogy. They got professional genealogists, and he found out that he was actually, according to the genealogists, related to two other popes that were incredibly important during the Renaissance, and that's Sixtus IV and Julius II, the two Del Robe popes who are buried under a plate over there. They were great popes, there's no getting around it. They were both incredibly effective popes. They were very into themselves, however, and that's why they got them just buried under that one plate. So what he did in the middle of his pontificate was actually change his coat of arms to be the coat of arms also of the Del Robe popes, which means from the oak. So there's two oak trees. He was beatified in 1954, 1600s, early 1600s. He was where John Paul was. So John Paul II actually had him moved. He didn't have him moved, his body had him moved. Because John Paul II, like all the popes, was originally buried in the crypt. And then when he was beatified, they moved him upstairs. And so where we had Mass the other day, is where he was. And so when they moved, because they wanted to give John Paul more, prominence, so they moved him over here. This used to be just a plain altar with nothing in it. So for those of us like me who've been here for many, many years, it's still kind of neat to see him here, because he's all over there.
He's got his ring on?
Yeah, he's got his ring on. That's his body. His body's really there, but they cover him with silver. It looks like a piece of better, like a pie. Pope Innocent VIII. Innocent VIII was the one who was responsible for getting the relic of the spear of Christ back from the Muslims. The Muslims, he had a great relationship.
Oh, I see it in this hand.
And they gave it to him because they're the ones that took over the Holy Land and had some of these relics. And so the St. Longinus over there, when they bring out the relic of the spear, it came through Innocent VIII. This is the only funerary monument in St. Peter's that is a holdover from Old St. Peter's. So this would have been in the Old St. Peter's. And generally what happens in these funerary monuments of these popes, as we see the image of Gregory the 13th over there changing the Gregorian calendar, some of these old ones also write about some of the things that they did some of the important things that they did, so that there's writings in certain areas of this funerary monument that talk about his accomplishments. And one of them is in error, because one of them says that he died in 1492. So what happened in 1492?
Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
He in this funerary monument lays claim to the fact that he was the Pope when that happened, but he wasn't. He was dead by that time. Alexander VI was. So there's an error in the writing that he's not the one that did it. He was also hated because of the same austerity reasons. Lots of these supposed to put these austerity laws on the city of Rome.
Yeah.
I'll show you something that somebody did. So this is the writings of his accomplishments, but somebody came and defaced it. And you see where it says tyrant.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's not original. Somebody came in there, you can see it's kind of how it's scraped.
Yep.
Somebody came and wrote that he was a tyrant.
Wow.
That's funny.
You see it, Amy?
Yeah, this
Design of this thing.
This is the door of death, and that's whichever pope commissioned it back in the 60s. You said John II. And when a pope dies, this is how they get brought into the church.
That's a good question. I don't know. Not that long ago.
Huh.